One retirement tonight regarding Mrs. Judy Rivlin. Whereas Mrs. Judy Rivlin, a home and careers teacher, has announced her intention to retire effective September 8th, 2020. Mrs. Rivlin has been a staple at South Middle School for 30 years. And whereas most of the staff cannot remember a time at South without Mrs. Rivlin will be greatly missed by the students, staff, and parents of South. And whereas we are thankful for Ms. Rivlin's never-ending love of teaching, her great care of each of her students, and all the amazing years of service she has given to Lynbrook School District. And whereas Judy Rivlin intends on spending her well-deserved retirement in upstate New York with her husband, Jay. We wish her a long, happy, and healthy retirement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Judy Rivlin for the purposes of retirement. Congratulations, Mrs. Rivlin. In addition, we also have some new staff I just want to announce. Director of Special Services, Susan Sabam. Joseph Martellardi, Director of Physical Education, Athletics, and Health. Caitlin Ganun, Principal at South Middle School. Danielle Botaro, Speech Teacher at Waverly Park. Kelly Donovan, Elementary Teacher at Marion Street. Jacqueline Langer, Special Education Teacher at West End and Marion Street. Kathleen McCauley, Science Research at the high school. Brighton Saunders, Special Education at North Middle. Michelle Chang, Elementary Teacher at Kindergarten Center. Karen Riccio, Elementary Teacher at the Kindergarten Center. Kelly McMahon, Elementary Teacher at Marion Street. Lorraine Troshi, Remote Teacher for Grade 1. Christina Artusa, Remote Teacher for Grade 1. Haley Maestri, Remote Teacher for Grade 2. Kathleen Owens, Remote Teacher Grade 2. Nicole Kearns, Remote Teacher Grade 4. Laura McKenna, Remote Teacher Grade 4. Danielle DiGiuseppe, Remote Teacher Grade 5. And Catherine Cordish, Remote Teacher Grade 5. Congratulations and welcome. Mr. Paskoff, correspondence to the board.
We received a lot of emails this past month. We received an email from a parent regarding a student issue, a parent regarding a plan if we have to go fully remote, a parent regarding summer playground, 8 from parents regarding reopening plans, 4 from parents regarding virtual orientation, 3 from parents regarding Owls for Change, 17 from parents regarding district field and track permits, 1 from a parent regarding fall sports, 1 from a parent regarding Section 8 decision and field permits, 2 from the Island Tree School Board President regarding Section 8 decision and appeal, 2 from a resident regarding apprenticeship labor used for capital improvement projects, 1 from a resident regarding Board of Ed communication, 1 from a resident regarding COVID screening solutions, 1 from a resident requesting the use of the OWL logo for business purposes, 1 from a student at Hofstra regarding the September board meeting, 1 from a parent regarding current events, and 1 from a parent regarding social, emotional, and mental health considerations. We received an invitation to Lynbrook's 9/11 Memorial.
Thank you, Mr. Paskoff. And I guess we can address amongst the board members some of the building inspections who would do. I'll start quickly and let the other members expand on it, but it was very impressive, the amount of effort that went in to our staff, facilities, to custodians, to teachers, the way in which they got these buildings prepared, and to do it safely. And if you spent the time to learn what other school districts were doing, none of them were able to do as much as we are to get their kids into school, to address the remote needs, to do it safely for both staff and teachers. I think it was very well done. I'm very impressed to see the way the buildings looked and how the protocols are working.
So I'll just add to that. Pat and I inspected the high school here, and at Marion Street we did yesterday after school. Now, I didn't see Marion Street before, but apparently Dr. Lynch did, and from all accounts, it was really not ready. And what they did in that amount of time with the power outage and was really remarkable. I mean, those guys, Jim as the lead and his head custodian there, Billy. fantastic. The place was spick and span. Everything was organized. All the desks were measured out. They had the guards up, freshly painted. Floors were super clean. I mean, it was like there was no, it's like there was no issue, even though we know there was. So those guys, unbelievable. And we did the high school last week, and we'd say the same thing. This place was spit, shine, clean. I mean, and no stone left unturned. I mean, every marker in the right place, every hour in the right place, every signage in the right place, clear. The floors were unbelievable. They freshly painted where the fire extinguisher was. They painted them a deep red. It was really beautiful. Really, everything was beautiful. So hats off to the whole custodial crew, and to Jim Sadia for his job. It was really very, very impressive. It really was. So congratulations to everybody involved there, because really had it ready.
All right, I'll piggyback on that. I did the kindergarten center and Lynbrook and the South Middle School. I'm not sure there's a job I would want this summer. That you guys all did a great job administratively. The custodial staff did a phenomenal job getting desks ready. I saw them on a Saturday morning putting together desks for the kids at the kindergarten center, because they didn't have desks before, and they had tables, and now and furniture had to be moved, and it was a tremendous job. I also would like to give credit to the administrative staff, because the money that was spent, I don't know where it's coming from. I'm not sure I want to know where it's coming from. But I think we all chipped in, or we're all chipping in anyway. But I don't think there's a job in this district that I want. So kudos to all levels of administration. Thank you guys. Thank the custodial staff. Thank the buildings and grounds, and the teachers and the principals. Everybody did a remarkable job to get us open. So thank you.
I attended the inspection at West End, and the building was spotless. And the amount of effort that went into the one-way staircases and the markings on the floor so the kids could line up and go one way on the right side and then the other way on the left side. All of the individual plexiglass dividers. I mean, from far away you can't even see them until you get up close. But the one thing that I did notice was, even with all the extraneous furniture taken out of all of the rooms so that there could be enough space between the desks, the teachers did a really great job to make the rooms look warm and inviting, and to welcome back the students. I really think that they did an excellent job, the custodial staff, all the staff. And I have to also compliment the art teacher who drew these murals, reminding, one was Sesame Street, reminding to wear a mask, and, all, standing 6 feet apart. And I mean, the artwork was just spectacular. So I have to, commend the building administration, the central administration, the custodians, the staff, and everybody, because it really was, spectacular.
I looked at North, at Waverly, and at West End as well, and not every school has an in-house artist like Mr. Christie does for West End, and those murals were amazing. And again, Waverly Park, neat as a pin, looked ready to go a week ago when I looked at it. And North, everything has been taken into consideration, everything possible. And really, again, hats off to the custodial staff and the administration. They really, so much creativity, so much thought, so many little challenges that are the kinds that are so exhausting, but they worked through a lot of them and are going to continue to work through them as the year goes on.
I would just like to add to what Dave said, because I was at the high school and the Marion Street School, and the thing that impressed me the most was the age of these buildings and how they don't look their age. You know, these buildings are 100 years old, and, oh, by the way, most of them are also going through current construction. Anybody who's ever lived through a construction project in their own home realizes it's nearly impossible to keep that area clean. What's amazing to me is that these buildings are going through construction, and they look the way they look. It's remarkable. And if you pay attention to any of the details within the classrooms, you really understand that the plan that was put forth was done with such care. There's so much, you know, of a mix of like health and safety along with educational soundness. And you know, from top to bottom, I think the district's done a great job, and the admins all the way down to custodial staff, you know, has been great throughout this whole process. Nice job.
I also forgot to add that at the elementary schools, they have little tiny hand washing stations. They were so cute. I mean, they really thought of every detail to make these kids comfortable and to encourage, you know, like the proper way of staying, you know, safe and healthy. So thank you.
And I guess what that comprises is, you know, the sense we're getting from our teachers, staff, and administration is that everyone has the right attitude about how they're approaching this. You know, we talked about all summer about the preparation, about the need to be flexible, and it seems like everyone has the right spirit. The students and the teachers and the staff and the community understands the difficulties that we're addressing and is remaining flexible in doing that. So we're only 2 days into it. We know there's technology issues and things that are being worked out, but the attitude and the perspective that everyone has, I think, is the right thing to do to keep us going in the right direction. I guess it's as good a time as any to talk about, you know, if you're paying attention to the news, you're seeing what the Roslyn principal wrote out, and we have a very high number of boys, 80 or 90%, Dr. Burek, that wanted to be in school and wanted their kids to come into school. That's a very high number, and it's that way in many school districts throughout Nassau County. We have to constantly remember to tell ourselves the importance of maintaining the mask, washing our hands, maintaining social distancing rules, not just in the building. Because if the kids go out after school and they're doing things they shouldn't be doing and they bring that virus into the school and our numbers come up, then the Department of Health will have the ability to change the course of the things we're doing. So we must remain vigilant, doing everything properly so far. Let's keep doing that. On the old business, I just wanted to bring up, we know that Section 8 at this point has still restricted us from maintaining in athletics. I know you're still considering what options we have on the 21st. I think Mr. Yaker actually just got an update from the state that indicated some sports may be pushed officially to the spring.
It looks like New York State has said that starting March 1st, it looks like there are a couple of things that they're saying. So starting March 1st right now, they are going to open up football, volleyball, competitive cheer, and, you know, just I'll read it real quick. The revised season for football, volleyball, and fall competitive cheer will be known as Fall Sports Season 2 and may officially begin practices on March 1st of 2021. As a result of fall high-risk sports being moved, the start date for spring sports season has been adjusted to April 19th, 2021. The first official practice for spring sports will now be April 19th, 2021. The original start date was March 15th. So they still haven't, apparently, they still haven't worked out schedules and, you know, if there's going to be an overlap and stuff like that. That's not been made clear in this, but it looks like that's how they're moving forward.
But just another example of how fluid this whole situation is. So from day to day or week to week, decisions are being made that are changing the course of things that we're doing. So if they do move those 3 activities to the spring, it still leaves open the possibilities of, and hopefully they can make the job easier for the district by Section 8 coming up and allowing us to have participation in those other sports as our adjoining county has done in Suffolk County. So again, we'll wait to see, and we'll wait to see what information becomes available as time progresses towards the 21st. But obviously, at some point, the district will make a decision on what they're doing about that. The other thing we talked about last week was on the extra help schedule. I guess, Dr. Baird, that's still something that's being worked out and looked at. And I guess the difference between now and last year was that we have kids that are in school some days, some kids are home those days, and we have alternate scheduled days also. So hopefully that's something our teachers can take into account when trying to come up with the best schedule to get to the most amount of kids. So appreciate that. Look forward to hearing that plan. Anything else on the new business or old business from the board? Dr. Burek, Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I just want to follow up and thank everyone for cooperating with the district and for helping prepare your students for re-entry to school. The first 2 days went about as smooth as it possibly could in this new environment as far as the entering the building. making sure those daily health checks were done, and then doing our checks at the door as students came in and maintaining social distancing. So I just wanted to thank really all of the parents and families and students and staff for maintaining that. And just as Mr. Belmont mentioned, we're all in this together, and the only way that we're going to be able to keep our buildings open as long as possible is if we do follow all of the rules and the restrictions that have been put on us. So I just wanted to thank you for the cooperation, and also thank you for your patience. As Mr. Belmont also mentioned, there was some technical glitches, but Dr. Belekas will go over those when he does his curriculum report. I also had a follow-up from last week also, when you had asked about the snow days. Actually, I did receive word this week that for this year alone, a one-year pilot, the state is allowing us to have remote learning days on snow days so that we can continue those as remote learning days. So the state did make that available to school districts. The other new item, yesterday, it was announced through the Department of Health, because last week it was announced by the governor that an executive order would be coming forth about a new requirement that districts must comply with, and that is the preparation of a COVID report card. So a COVID report card means that every single day I must enter information about the school district, such as the number of students we have enrolled in person, how many students we have enrolled in remote on each given day. I also have to report the number of staff, the number of teachers who are working on site, working remotely, as well as the number of COVID cases in the areas of students, teachers, and staff. So this is the means of communication now to the communities from the school district. So I just want to expand on this a little bit. So on our reopening webpage, there's a new link called a dashboard for the COVID report card. So any family can click on that report, that dashboard when it becomes available. I don't think they've opened it up to the communities yet, but you can click on that, you can choose a school, and then you can see that data as far as how many students are in, how many students are out, everything that I just mentioned. If we have a positive case, if the Department of Health or if somebody in the district has reported a positive case, I must enter that in on a daily basis. So you will be able to see that information day after day after day if cases change. That is the way that the state is going to help track if there's an increase in an infection rate, so that this way the governor will have the data to make the decisions as far as if anything's going to change as far as restrictions, opening, closing, whatnot. It's important that you use that dashboard as your way of finding accurate information. If the Department of Health informs us of a positive case and contact tracing is done by the Department of Health, that then warrants us to take decisive action, that's when you will receive official communication from the district, whether it be a total school closure or a grade level school closure, or if there's a major decision that needs to take place, that's when you receive that communication. But please note, if you go onto that report card, and if you happen to see a staff member has tested positive, okay, that's where you're getting that information. If the contact tracing was done and nothing else needed to take place, you will not hear of every little case like that. If there's one staff member, what you have to realize is that then the contact tracing was done and no one else was exposed during that time, that would warrant any major change in how the district functions. So I want to be perfectly clear about that. The Department of Health makes that decision. If you see someone up there, I will repeat it, if you see a number, input it into that dashboard, and you have not heard, you have not received an official letter from the district, it was because no other action was needed to be taken by the school district. If we did need to take action, that's when you would hear communication from us. Okay? That's very important. I also would just like to share this. I shared this poem with the staff on Superintendent's Conference Day, and I think it was shared with me, and I think it's worthwhile for everyone to hear this because, as we've been saying, we're all in this together. This is not easy. It's not ideal. There are many things that we still have to work out. There are new challenges that we're brought with every day. And the solutions to some of these problems are not easy solutions. So I think this poem, and it's written by an anonymous author, is worth sharing. Back to school this year is ideal for no one. Not for teachers, not for parents, not for children. Hybrid is not ideal. Virtual is not ideal. Face-to-face in the midst of a pandemic is not ideal. For every kid who is anxious to get back to the classroom, there is another who has anxiety about returning. For every parent who wonders, how am I going to manage this? There is a teacher wondering, how am I going to manage this? Often, a person wears both titles. For every kindergarten parent who is sad that this is how their child will begin their education, there is a parent of a senior who is bummed that this is how their child will end theirs. For every person angry about their child having to wear a mask, there is a person who is petrified their immune-compromised family member will get ill. Life has thrown us a huge curveball, a plot twist, if you will. It will not be easy. We will be challenged. We will get frustrated. I hope we rise to the occasion. I hope we help one another. We all need help. I hope we treat each other with grace. We all need grace. I hope we realize that at the end of the day, our kids need us to be the light. Set the tone, see the good, take a really unfortunate situation and do our best to make it okay. For them, for us. So I think that helps put things in perspective for us, that we are working together as a village, as a community, as the Lynbrook schools. We're proud of our schools, and you've heard our entire staff has put their best foot forward to prepare our buildings, to prepare the education, the instructional plan going forward, and we're gonna work through this together, and we're going to work out those kinks, and we're gonna make it the best year we possibly can. And with that, the board goals for this year, the board has focused on 3 major goals. One, obviously, is continuing to oversee the bond work, and if you walk past the high school, that work is continuing every day. The weather has been on our side. That has been wonderful. Obviously, the second goal is to oversee the reopening plan, so we're going to continue to make adjustments, make improvements as we encounter new issues. And the third was to promote a diverse, inclusive environment for all. So we're going to continue to do our work with that in all areas, and those are the 3 major goals for this school year. This week, also the first week of school, unfortunately, is also a remembrance of 9/11 again. I just want to let everyone know that our buildings on Friday will be recognizing the 9/11 remembrance in the form of a moment of silence, as well as other activities that they have done so in the past. Evacuation drill is October 2nd. The past 2 years, we've done reunification drills on October 2nd. As you know, we're limiting the amount of people we bring to our building, so we are just going to hold a traditional early evacuation and then have some type of staff meeting in the afternoon. Our curriculum update, I will turn it over to Dr. Belekas.
Thank you, Dr. Vera. I know that the last few days, everyone has really risen to the occasion. So the students and the faculty obviously came back to something very different than what they saw last year. And I think that every day we're going to continue to get better. I know that as Dr. Bierak had mentioned earlier, we had some very long lines in certain buildings for the first day of school. And everybody did wait patiently like we had asked them to, which was a wonderful thing. Day 2, those lines were much shorter. Why? Because we learned something from the day before. And I think every day we're going to continue to learn. I know that this is not the ideal situation for anybody, students and teachers alike. And I think every day the teachers will get better at what they're doing. We have some very good professionals in this district, and I think that, they are going to figure it out. It will take time, as we've said all summer. And as long as everybody remains flexible, we're going to get to a point where we're going to be very proud of what we're producing every day, each day in and out. One of the frustrations, as Dr. Bierak had mentioned earlier too, is that some of the technologies haven't been working exactly as we would have planned. You know, we had some things that were out of our control, like forgotten or lost passwords. Many of those have been taken care of over the last 48 hours. We've had things that were devices that have failed. You know, thankfully there were minimal amounts of them, and those have been fixed. The big issue, though, that we have experienced, and it's taken a lot of minds to get involved to try to help solve this problem, is that there were certain syncing issues with our devices in WebEx. We are getting closer to the answer on that one. It does seem like there's a little thing about different versions of WebEx that are considered the newest version but are slightly different than each other, and some of them are not playing as nicely with our devices as we would have liked. The testing is ongoing. Hopefully we will have that under control soon. We have been in contact with Cisco and been working also with Lightspeed, which is our filtration system, and I think that we're getting pretty close to that answer. So hopefully we'll get rid of some of the technological kinks and make it a very smooth experience for all, whether or not you're in person that day or remote. So that is something that's happening at the moment. We are also, too, trying to make sure that our communication lines with the families at home that are participating in the remote program are staying wide open. I know that there are certain students at the elementary school that are working in a remote environment. They do see Mrs. Curran kicking off their school day. You know, I know that she's been involved with the Pledge of Allegiance and things like that in the morning announcements. If someone has a student in grades 1 through 5 and you are experiencing any issues, please reach out to Mrs. Allison Curran. So Allison Curran, if you email her, it's allison.curran@lynbrookschools.org. She will help you with what she can. If not, she will direct your questions in the right direction to get you a response. So if you are having issues at home, please reach out to her. If you have a kindergarten student, please reach out to Mrs. Ellen Postman. And again, it's ellen.postman@lynbrookschools.org. And she will be able to help you with any of your issues with kindergartners. You know, obviously, if you're in a secondary building, you can reach out to the principals, and we also have a lot of good technology folks that have been helping out, and they will assist you at that level. So we do just want to make sure that people, regardless if you're here or not, have a very good school year. And I think that, you know, within the next week or two, we will start ironing out a lot of these kinks, and it's just going to keep, like I said before, getting better and better. So thank you to everybody, and thank you for your patience. Thanks for your flexibility. And please, you know, we are very proud of what our kids have done over the last 2 days, and we want to continue to make this a wonderful school year, and hopefully we can, you know, keep growing together. So thank you.
Thank you. And just to follow up on that, I know we've only had 2 half days, but I was able to make it into most of the classrooms in at least 4 of our buildings. I'm going to hit the other buildings tomorrow. And parents should know the smiles, and I can tell they're smiling because you can look at their eyes. The smiles that these students have to be back in their classroom, to be back with their friends, and back in school. It's nice for me to see that we must be doing something right, that they want to be here so desperately. So I just wanted to add that. And then the last, Dr. Lynch, if you can just give the capital projects update.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Burek. So as has been indicated, the work at Lynbrook High School continues. So if you have not drove past it recently, you'll see it actually has a new face now. So the Luca bond has gone up front, and there's a new look to the front. The slabs and the foundations have been poured, and we hope to see steel going up as early as next week. And once that starts to go up, that will take place for about a month or so. So work is moving along, and as Dr. Burek stated, the weather has been on our side. The other major projects that we're looking at, down at Waverly Park, there is an elevator going up that is also progressing very well, and its completion date is hopefully around November. We also installed, in the midst of everything going on at West End and at Marion Street to get ready for the reopening, they were put in new HVAC systems in the gyms, and we hope to have them up and running possibly as early as next week. And finally, the small projects, if you would, was a new bathroom at North and a new bathroom right outside this room here. The contractors are actually next door right now finishing up, and they're also in very good shape. So I think we, in addition to all the other work that facilities did, just keeping these projects, the big projects, on track was quite amazing.
Yes, it certainly
Can
was.
I ask you a question, Dr. Lynch?
Sure.
The Luca bond you called us, They're very nice. I just have a question, like, what are they made of? Like, I'm asking that for two reasons. Number one, my wife and I walked by the school the other day, and we stopped and we looked, and the sun reflects off in different spots, and it almost looks like different colors. Is that going to fade the coloring at all?
I'm going to have to get, I don't think it is going to
Right.
fade, so I'm going to have to get back to you on what it's
Okay.
made out of, but that one of the reasons that it was picked is because it does have a durability. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it is a pretty,
That's what I
yeah,
assumed,
it's,
but
that was,
it-
that was actually at that design phase, so
it's
yeah.
just a very different, depending on how the sun
Yep.
hits it, it's almost like a different color.
Yeah,
And I like the stone
the stonework is beautiful, is it?
on the bottom. We were really peeking in and
Yeah.
checking out, making sure everything was on the
It's
up
a
and
nice
up.
contrast.
Yeah.
But I will, I'll
very
get back to you on
That-
what they
That
did.
Lucaban is not supposed to fade, but if you look at all of the other buildings that have, the green panels, those do fade.
Right,
So,
right.
so this was a nice material,
Okay.
an alternative to that. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Burek. If nothing else from the board, we'll move on to public comments. Do you have a question? Do you have a question? Do you? Seeing that no questions from the community and no questions from email, we'll move over to superintendent's recommendations. I'd like to ask for consent agenda on resolutions 2009C22 through 2009C30, 2009NC7 through 2009NC18, and 2009G12, G17 through 2009G27. May I have a motion, please? Mrs. Marcus, second. Mrs. Hanson, may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Mrs. Danino, second. Mr. Pascoff, all in favor? And I'd like to have a motion to adjourn to go into executive What did she ask me?
Accept the minutes of
September
September
2nd.
2nd.
I'd like to have a motion to accept the meetings of the
Minutes.
minutes of the September 2nd meeting. Mr. Yeager, thank you. Second, Mr. Plesky, all in favor? No, thank you.
Now we have to go.
Anything else, Steve?
We gotta go on.
I'd like to have a motion to adjourn to go into executive session to discuss matters of personnel. Mrs. Hanson, second, Mrs. Marcus, all in favor? Thank you. Stay safe, stay positive, and our next meeting will be on October 9th. Is that the correct date? Someone correct?
October 7th.
October 7th. You know what tomorrow is, people? NFL, baby. We out?